We discussed the Press Plus contract, which is, our policies are somewhat automatically updated to comply with law, and that's a good thing, but we found that we needed to upgrade our service that we get on there to make sure that they're updated. That's gonna require a little bit of training we're gonna have to go through, but we had a discussion about that. So that's just a notification that we're gonna be amending the service that we get to make it more complete on our policies. Part of the discussion there is that when the policies are updated, we do have to look them over. Sometimes that will be in finance, sometimes that will be in education, sometimes it will be buildings and grounds. There could also be times where Greg especially will have to look at the policies to make sure they are something that we want to adopt. We may not want to adopt every part of it, so it does take a little bit of effort to go through them and make sure that what we're getting are things that we want to be adopting, and if we don't, make sure we're deliberate about not doing that. We then did a policy series review. This kind of follows along with what I just said. These are policies, they're listed here in minutes, but Greg's going to be going over there because there is a first reading on those policies coming up. One other thing I want to mention, we did at that meeting have a brief discussion about the board possibly adopting a sustainability policy in the future. So we are considering that. We will discuss it at future meetings. No decisions were made on that or recommendations. Finally, we did feel that going forward, we probably need to have some ad hoc policy committee meetings during the year. So we will have some kind of committee for that, and we'll have meetings going forward. The meeting lasted about an hour, and then was adjourned. That's it. Thank you.
All right, finance?
Sure, I can update. So the finance committee meeting was held on April 15th, 2019, and it's called to order at 5 p.m. Members present, myself, Jim Lee, and Sean Sullivan. And we actually had quite a bit. First was the Director of Technology, Mr. Cordonius. He reviewed the technology budget for 2019 and 20. The proposed budget is $2,327,650, or about an 8.4% increase over last year's budget. But that's really due to purchase and replacement of hardware and increase in software licensing. And it was also contingent on the approval of student fees for 2019 and 2020. And student fees were also discussed at this meeting. There's been a shortfall in Chromebook purchases for students over the last several years. The board approves the increase in student fees. The technology budget will be adjusted and will only reflect a 3.4 increase over last year. And I believe tonight you will be potentially discussing the final budget numbers and brought for approval to us. Regarding student fees, so Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Innovation, Sean Messmer, presented the proposed student fees, and he noted that there has not been an increase in fees since 2013. And the proposal has been, or was, to increase the student fees by 11% to cover the, God bless you, purchase of new Chromebooks. There's been that shortfall. The increase for then the following 2 years would be 4% or $15 each year. And then the students who are on the free or reduced lunch will still have 100% discounted fees. And we did discuss that we thought, the Finance Committee thought that the $40, the additional $40 in a 1 year jump was a little excessive and might be a bit much for the residents to absorb. And I know that Sean is looking at other ways to kind of phase in the increases, and I think we're going to talk about it. I don't know if we're going to talk about it tonight or.
Yes, we have a proposal for adoption that reflects the wishes of the board from that meeting.
Terrific. We also talked about AP test fees. A couple years ago, the district started subsidizing that first AP exam at a cost of $15. And that was to get our AP Challenge Index up, and that was achieved. The enrollment for AP Test has grown significantly, and it makes subsidizing no longer viable. Mr. Messmer also added that the district is pivoting towards dual credit and dual enrollment classes for greater equity. The district proposes eliminating that subsidy, other than for students on the free or reduced lunch, and where for those students, the AP Test will continue to cost $15. Financial advisor, we also discussed the financial advisor, our RPF. The district sent the proposal for financial advisor and bond proceeds manager to 14 companies. 3 proposals were received, and PMA is recommended as they have extensive experience. 4 proposals were received for the bond proceeds manager, with Raymond James having the lowest fee at approximately $42,000 a year. The town treasurer, who manages the district investments by law, they reviewed the proposal from Raymond James. In doing so, Tom Albeck and his team from the treasurer's office, actually, they attended, and they felt that they could provide these additional investment services at a cost of approximately $10,000 more a year. The committee discussed, Member Sullivan requested that Raymond James review the township treasurer fees and provide an analysis. The bond proceeds manager determination will be deferred. The committee recommended that PMA be awarded the contract as financial advisor actually. We also discussed the investment volatility report. It showed the impact on the market, securing for par value of our investment portfolio based on $1,000 in interest rates. If the year were to end now, the district would post a positive adjustment of $109,920. There's also a detailed investment portfolio that is included in the treasurer's report, if you'd like to look at it. Third quarter budget, there's also a third quarter budget update. The district is projected to reduce the budget deficit from $7.3 million to $5.5 million by the year's end. Property tax collections continue to decline. We've talked about that for the past several years. The refunds are exceeding expectations. Good news is medical insurance has remained flat due in part to a premium holiday, and that was the good news for both board and staff in December, saving $1 million. Salary and overtime are down due to turnover in some support staff positions, and special ed outplacement tuition is down. Contingencies of $507,000 projected to be spent. And this report goes to, just to us for information. And the finance committee meeting was adjourned at 6:13.
Thank you. Aurora, education.
So the.
I'm sorry, I skipped the buildings and grounds. Thank you. I'm just always a step ahead of myself, so. Know that.
The committee, Buildings and Grounds Committee met on April 15th, called the meeting to order at 6:15 p.m. And there were no public comment. However, we spoke at length on the facility master plan pre-construction update. Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mary Blue, updated the committee on the pre-construction plan. Mary and the Director of Buildings and Grounds, Dave Holm, are meeting with the buildings architects and each of the buildings to discuss building needs and the design process. Next week, the district will receive the budget estimate from Pepper Construction and review with the schools and alter the design plans if needed to fit the budget. The budget and preliminary floor plan will be reviewed at the next Buildings and Grounds Committee, and we also discussed accessible entrances and accessible signage at all of the schools. The next thing we talked about was the lawn care bid, and last year the district began a new lawn care program using organic and environmentally friendly fertilizer and weed control. The district was displeased with the current provider and opened bids for a new provider on March 27th. Logic Lawn Care was the lowest of two bidders. Scope review was completed, and Mr. Owen was very satisfied with the company and the product. The district is recommending awarding a one-year contract to Logic Lawn Care in the amount of $54,311. And then with no further business, we adjourn the meeting.
Education. So we had our meeting for Education Committee April 15th, started at 6:38 in the evening. Committee members present were myself and Linda Boyle, others present were Sarah Collins, Carla Owen, Jim Lee, Sean Massimo, Jean Edwards, and Julie Wayman. For two items. One is the public employee comments. Julia Hagan, MTA president, stated that she attended an outing for the Illinois Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, spending the day as an electrical apprentice. And she said that the CT teacher, Miss Melissa Damlett, did a really great job, and the program was outstanding. And that's really great to hear because Sean Messmer just signed and approved an agreement for a partnership with IBEW, where a student can earn points towards the test for an electrician's license. Mr. Messmer is working with the Carpenters Union to set up a similar partnership. And I know, Sean, I've referred to you MCA, which is the Mechanical Contractors Association, hopefully to have the same arrangement. In terms of the equity professional development, District 207 is looking into a diversity consultant to train, guide, and support staff on culturally responsive teaching. Innovative adult learning coordinator, Ms. Jill Harris, explained this in a continuation of work the district has been doing over the last few years in the area of equity. The plan is to work with consultant Corey Wallace for the first year in training our teachers and building internal capacity for our staff to facilitate the seed seminars moving forward. Ms. Wallace has worked with Evanston, Niles, Highland Park, and Deerfield, and Title II funding has been set aside for this. So there is a separate funding which is going to come out of our line item. A suggestion was made from Ms. Wallace to leave behind a white paper and a request for an hourly rate. And those are things that we're working out in terms of the agreement. So it would be really great for her to come in, train, so that we have staff and folks who can actually do the retraining of subsequent staff, but also have a white paper, kind of like a paper trail, that we can have kind of like a bullet. The two items should be reflected in the contract, and the contract is for $50,000 for this service. And we will be coming to the board today. Sean will do that, asking for approval from the board. After that, there being no further items, the meeting is adjourned at 7:07.
Thank you.
Madam President, before we move on, could I just do one update from board members? I
Absolutely.
totally forgot to mention the District 207 Foundation fundraiser was in April. It was a wonderful event. A number of us were there. They really did a terrific job with student performances, great speaker. It was a really wonderful event. I really encourage everybody to support them. It was great work, and they worked really hard on that event. So that's all.
No, it was. So on the monthly status of finances, since Mary Clue, our Assistant Superintendent of Business, is not here this evening, I just want to reiterate that the monthly finance report for March 2019 is on the board packets. And then also the third quarter budget update and investment volatility report is also in the packet, but Member Coyle also reflected that in her finance committee report. So instructional services.
So what you have in your packet is a report we bring this time each year for the result of the state mandated assessment performances that our students take. It's also related to policy 6:15, which you'll see later this evening, which is school accountability. So part of doing that is a report to the board each year to the public. What you have contained in there is the results over 2016, 2017, and 2018 of our performance on SAT. Also, you'll find in there a reference to ACT. You may remember that used to be the state test, that changed in 2016. So you'll have longitudinal performance there. Don Marzoff is here this evening. Sorry, you were back there, Don. Is here tonight too, if you have any further questions along with myself. Of important note, we in the past had funded ourselves to give a fall version of this test to all of our students. That was before the state had adopted that all students, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors will test in the SAT suite. We gave that test ourselves in the fall. We will no longer be doing that starting next year. So it's the last year we'll have that fall data. However, this will bring us into alignment with just about what every other school now in Illinois will be doing for testing in the spring. So we have one extra dose that we won't be doing any longer. So they haven't entertained any questions.
I had one on the growth charts that are in here. It shows, I think on the nation always has a 15.9% growth, like did not meet, met, or exceeded. It's the same number over and over. Do you see where I'm looking at?
Because that's how they define the norm. So the national distribution of scores and the middle 68.2% is meets. And so they actually look at the range of scores, find out where the 15.9% is, or roughly in that area.
Well, they
That's
just,
the
they
cut
just
score.
set that,
Yeah,
using that number.
Yeah.
That's just arbitrary.
Yes.
yeah.
And
Well, there's
When
some
we
basis
compare ourselves,
behind it.
if we
Based on the
compare
testing
ourselves to
study.
it, then it's rather misleading.
Yeah, and I just want to remind board members, you know, we previously, as Sean said, we did many years of ACT testing from the universal testing began in the early 2000s. And ACT introduced the whole college readiness thing. So there's a couple of important things. So if you graph us from the early 2000s of universal testing, our poverty in this district has actually tripled. And since the early 2000s, we've gone from no majority minority high schools to 2 of our 3 majority minority high schools. That's significant. Against the ACT trends, though, we actually have increased our mean test score against that. If you do a linear regression analysis, we would be about 3 points lower on the ACT. The other thing to remember is that SAT and ACT propose that they can pad college readiness, and they really can't. And there's a couple of things that will demonstrate that. Just by switching to SAT in Illinois from ACT, just by switching tests, everybody's college readiness went up 11% for no other reason than they switched tests, because the cuts are different. But that said, our experience, because we track our kids when they leave us, always has far exceeded ACT or SAT in terms of kids who actually do complete college. So part of what I think the world is going to, and you're going to see it, is a diminishment away from even worrying about standardized testing. What matters most to our kids, in particular students in District 207, but a lot of kids, is can we get them college credits on a transcript that have currency to them and value that align with their career path. That's really, really where we're going, because that's going to serve our students the best. So just a little bit of comment on
The other thing that
SAT.
is important to remember is just like with ACT, we compare ourselves against the nation, but not everybody takes the ACT, but everybody in Illinois does. We have the same issue with SAT, where now every single one of our students will take SAT, but not every state requires every student to take SAT. So it's not always an even comparison.
And if you remember, the Chicago Tribune always ran an article on this every year, and Sean's point is right. Illinois was a state in which every student could be ACT. And then the news articles got written against students who chose to take the ACT in other states. So these were clearly college-bound students. And that piece of the puzzle, if it got included in the story at all, was in paragraph 38. So there's just a lot of, and people gnash their teeth over this, but the truth is, in this district, our students are performing at a higher rate than ever before in the history of this district, and it isn't even close. And I have objective, measurable data to show that to anybody that's ever interested. In 2008, about 30% of our students were in our most rigorous courses. accelerated AP and dual credit AP and dual credit being college courses. Today, that's over 30%, and the growth has been a lot more of our low-income and minority students who previously couldn't even get in those courses because of the way that we had the system set up. So, and again, while the teachers are gone, I think that's a big tribute to the quality of the teachers that we have in this district.
And I would just add to, unless you want to talk on this, I just wanted to congratulate all three schools. This is just maybe reminding me of the U.S. News World's report that all three schools, Maine East, Maine West, and Maine South, made the top 16% of Illinois schools in national, within the national list for the top 16% of schools in the state of Illinois. I don't know if you want to briefly comment on that.
Well, I'm working on a blog.
Okay, well, briefly, it's just thought it might be.
I think what Sean said, and it was reflected in Aurora's comments, the truth is, and I will take ownership of this because, you know, we helped set the goal to get to a 3.0 challenge index. Our future will not be advanced placement courses. It will be in dual credit courses. And the blog that I'm writing is about the need for the U.S. News and World Washington Post, who have created this arms race in AP, to evolve their thinking and to include dual credit courses, because our students who take dual credit courses in Illinois get credit for those courses, guaranteed credit at Illinois colleges and universities. Nothing serves our students better than that, especially when those courses are aligned to career paths. So that's really, we've already grown that footprint, but as we improve our career advisement, we will more strategically, just like the course that Scott and Tom are teaching, our kids now, we will have a pathway, a better pathway for students to go in and become manufacturing engineers, for example. And we're going to try to do that across the whole curriculum, but the dual credit has more value to our students. So what I'm telling you today is we will not continue increasing our challenge index in AP. If anything, over time, gradually, it's going to go down. But to do that, we'll serve our students better. So,
Yeah, I'd just like to add one thing too about these ratings in general, just for the public comment, that, you know, the rating scales, you can go to any newspaper and see you rate, you know, and, you know, when they say, like yesterday, I think I read that all, I don't know, Niles schools were in the top 10%, so they went, and every rating, it's not necessarily valid. You know, so it's just, I think that we have to be very careful of looking at ratings and saying what, you know, what is their criteria, and then what it.
And what's their methodology?
Yeah.
And what's their, you know, because that happens in the healthcare world.
Absolutely.
You're always what's your award, but I do think there is some reputability of U.S. News World Reports, even though we might not agree with every indicator. I still think it's an accomplishment for our preschool to get on that one. We can debate which, what we win more or not, so it's going to recognize that. And then, but I do agree with you that we have to compare that to others. And Jim, you were about to say
So
something.
state is currently financially paying all the students for the time for those
SATs, yeah.
currently in state, our state of Illinois, somewhat encouraging for students to take SAT compared to ACT.
It's a law, it is the state testing.
Right. So in many years ago, like in the 80s when I went to school, the state of course encouraging, the universities encouraging the ACT scores to accommodate. So now the local in-state universities do not see that anymore.
Well, when you were in school, it was optional, and typically students who wanted to go to school, you were taking that test in 2001, in 2002, it became a mandatory requirement that all students take the ACT test in Illinois. That was a significant difference. Some states, it's an outgrowth of No Child Left Behind, where the federal accountability law, states had to adopt some measurement, and Illinois chose to adopt the ACT as its statement, and it, not just the ACT, but the first state exam, which was the ACT glued onto the work keys. This is a whole different deal, that everyone ignored the work keys, but each work key question actually had twice the value of a single ACT question, so that's a whole other history.
So Illinois universities take both equally, they don't prefer one or the other.
So if students wish to take ACT, they have to pay from their own pocket.
Yes, so you can think of it this way, you can take the institutional, what's called the institutional SAT that we give you. Most students who are pursuing college will probably take it another time. And that extra time, that second time, they pay for it on their own. So if they wanted to take an ACT, they would pay for that on their own as well. All of those tests are offered at some point during the year in each of our buildings. So a student who wanted to take the ACT, I can't remember which building it is in the fall, but if they wanted to take that too, they could, and it's offered. They do have to pay on their own.
All right.
I have one more question. I agree with, you know, I agree with everything people are saying about standardized testing, but I do look at trends sometimes, and I have questions. On the percentage meeting college readiness benchmark, which I think is the first chart we got, I noticed Maine West, if you go from 2018 to 2022, they seem to be decreasing more than the others. I'm just wondering if that's something that we, you know, focus on, or what are we learning from that, or?
Well, we actually, we look at this every single year. And to Ken's point, we have conversations about how is our curriculum aligning with the tests. Our curriculum is actually in pretty good alignment with the test, more so with ACT than it actually was with ACT, I would argue, because SAT made a very concentrated effort to get on board with Common Core and be more reflective of the Common Core. So when we look at this, we do examine the curriculum and say, where are we supporting or where are we having some issues related to it? There is a little bit of there's a bit of a difference too, and Don, help me, we're looking at ACT, correct? Career and College Readiness, not Illinois. Because Illinois is the
College Board.
College Board,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, so this is the College Board trend. Actually, it's a little bit,
Yeah, my point was really that Maine West in particular was showing a decline over that period as compared to Maine South and Maine East. There was a decline. You see what I'm talking about? From 45 down to 33.9. I mean, I understand what everyone's saying, but I just, if there's a trend here that the other schools aren't showing, I'm just wondering, they should be following the same curriculum, right?
They are.
Okay, so we just have.
And we do examine that, and we work with the principals to address those issues. And each year, it's part of the data dive that we do with each of the schools to talk about what are the specific areas. We break that apart. So for example, when we get evidence-based reading and writing back, we do get the specific areas for which, you know, we identify where can we do better, where we need to bolster students' support in those areas.
Are we using SATs cuts or still Illinois?
This is SATs.
There's one caveat though, so for like the class of 2022, so these are different cohorts.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's our current freshmen who took the test in October after 6 weeks of this.
I do understand that, but it's different for Maine West.
Yeah.
Than the other
It's decreasing more at Maine West than at the others, that's my point. That's
And-
why I'm asking.
Yeah, and I think if you look, this is a challenge of what's happening pretty rapidly, in displaying 62 in particular, and the work that we've got to continue to do to meet the needs. And so Eileen is well aware, and staff are well aware over there, so
Is
it's.
the diversity is increasing over there?
Poverty, yeah, it's a significant trend analysis in that district in particular. It happened quicker at East, but it's probably, it's a little different and more pronounced in some ways. So it's, and as Sean says, the power, you know, what we have found is that students that stay with us, even if they don't test particularly well as a freshman, if they stay with us, they get better and better and better. So what'll be interesting is to look at that class of 22 as they take the full suite by their junior year and see what they look like after a few years with us. And that's, you know, the really good work that's happening in the Ascend program over there, the really good work that just, you know, the entire staff is doing.
So an example of this would be I'll move to the Math 1 curriculum, where every single student now will be supported at the high school level for math. So if you think about it in terms of if we have a cohort of students who are entering who need more math support because they're behind in their math education, the restructuring of the math curriculum is meant to in an effort to close that gap, which then you would see reflected in the scores, as opposed to the topic we talked about, stretching out their algebra over 2 years. And so by the time they get to the SAT, maybe not having all of the math they should have had and would need to perform at a better level on this test. So that's sort of probably the best curricular example I can give you related to that particular program.
Does our school have a special intensive, exclusive kind of workshop or studying on catching up with ACT and SAT kind of course level to upgrade it?
The ACT, like specific courses,
Just
taught to
schools,
the scores.
yeah, kind of catching up for students who might need intensive courses.
We make that available after school, we don't fund it. Basically, I would look at it this way, our curriculum is aligned to the Common Core. The Common Core and SAT are aligned, and so the everyday work that we do is really meant to prepare students with the skills to not only perform on this assessment, but to be successful in college. So, the tough part about this, just to be very honest with you, is one test on one day.
And then there's outside organizations that come in that offer the students that's on site, but when we approve those contracts before.
That to pay, of course,
Right,
higher
right.
fees.
Well, but they are subsidized, or lower income students are subsidized.
All right, so, monthly update on FOIA requests.
There were 4 this month, all of them published.
All right, first reading on Board of Education policies and procedures. I should like Greg.
Yeah, as Carlos said,
Yes.
our ad hoc policy committee met a while ago, and out of that committee came a recommendation to bring to the board 4 policy changes. These are minor changes that are recommended by the Illinois Association of School Boards press policy. And the other thing that Carla alluded to is, as the press policy group comes out with their quarterly changes, that's probably a good idea for us to have that ad hoc policy committee meet on a quarterly basis and go through these changes. And so if we look at the first one, 2:20, hours and duties of the school board, the recommended change that is coming before us is in response to the Senate Bill 100 law. And basically, they replaced the word discipline with the word behavior to align with that change in the law. And so a lot of these are very minor, what they call minor continuous improvements. And so that's what they did for 220. For 4:100, insurance management, it was updated with minor style updates and also some updates to the legal references. You'll also see that sometimes they'll change the footnotes, but we don't actually publish all the footnotes in our policy. Those are simply for the committee's reference as they're looking to review them, so they kind of see what the history of those were.
But those are a part of the press.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so then the next one, 4:150, facility management and building programs. There were minor continuous updates, improvement updates that were made to the policy. And in specific, they referenced the 10-year life safety survey that is required for the school buildings. And then the last one, 6:15, school accountability. That was simply changed in response to Public Act 11046, which now requires the school climate survey to be given annually instead of every 2 years. And so this is just for the first reading. The policy, ad hoc policy committee recommended that we just adopt these minor press changes. And so we still have another month to chew on these. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those either today or during the next month.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, moving on to our action items. Do I have a motion for the resolution honoring service to our board members on Sunday?
So moved. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution. So I can first read it again. Whereas Mr. Sean Sullivan was elected to the Board of Education in April 2007, and re-elected in April 2011 and April 2015, thereby serving 12 years during 4 terms and 3 years as president, whereas Mr. Sean Sullivan has served as a member of the Finance, Policy, Employee Relations, Education, and Buildings and Grounds Committees, and Illinois Association of School Boards Assembly Delegate, and Illinois Association of School Boards Division Governing Board, and Education, Research, and Development Representative Alternate. And whereas Mr. Sean Sullivan has left the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of Maine Township High School District 207 express sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Sean Sullivan and recognize and commend him for his contributions to good school community relations, his insight and guidance related to instructional efforts to improve student performance, his concern for the welfare of staff, students, and families, and his tireless efforts to promote and recognize student achievement at each of the high schools. Signed by all of the members of the Board of Education of District 207 and Dr. Ken Wallace, Superintendent of Schools.
Austriaco? Aye. Collins? Aye. Coyle? Aye. Lee?
Aye.
Owen?
Aye.
Yusuf Abramson? Bessler? Aye. Do I have a motion for consent agenda items 9A through 9P? Any discussion? Can we take a roll? Austriaco? Aye. Coyle? Aye. Yusuf Abramson? Owen? And feel free to take anytime you have a question because it's a first, it's completely, okay, yeah.
Owen? Lee?
Aye.
Collins? Bessler?
Aye. All right, so I have a motion on item 10, or maybe we should discuss it first? Well, let's, is it, do I have a motion on number 10, Swain River Casino, Oakland Community College, salary? Or is that part of, is that part of consent?
Yes, so we're going to go to,
That covered it. See, Sheila, I have questions too in the middle of the meeting, so I'm going to give myself permission to do that as well.
I move that the Board of Education approve the summer curriculum projects for 2019.
Second.
Any discussion?
Take any questions. What you have here in front of you are, each year we bring a handful of projects. Actually, we have a fewer number of projects than we have in the past for summer curriculum writing. Basically, what we do each year is we set aside money for our staff to develop either new curriculum projects, which tend to these days be exclusively for the dual credit enrollments, for the dual credit classes rather that we're developing. And a handful of other items, one of which is SEA. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on that? Let's take a roll.
Owen?
Aye.
Collins? Aye. Austriaco?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Yusuf Abramson? Coyle?
Aye.
Bessler?
Aye. Is there a motion on textbooks and supplemental resources?
Second.
Sean?
So as you can see, we only have one textbook, new textbook for adoption next year, and that's associated with our anatomy and physiology course that will be a dual credit course with OPIT starting next year.
Any questions?
Yusuf Abramson? Lee?
Aye.
Collins? Aye. Coyle? Aye. Austriaco?
Aye.
Owen?
Aye.
Bessler?
Aye. Do I have a motion on approval of student resource fees for 2019-2020?
So moved. Second.
Sean?
So, as Member Coyle had mentioned, at the Finance Committee, we discussed increasing student fees. As we referenced, that we have not raised fees since we restructured in 2013. Taking the advice of the board at that time of the meeting, we made a decision to increase fees by 4.2%, which is a $15 increase for next year. So moving that fee from $355 to $370.
reduced from what it was.
Which is reduced from our original recommendation, which, as was mentioned earlier, was $395, and we brought that back down to $370.
But eventually next year, it might be kind of slow.
Well, I think we decided, that the most judicious thing to do is bring each year